let me pause that shit. So squatting's been on my mind recently. I just wrapped the Bulgarian video that I put out where I complained about the phenomenon of squatting every day and how it's just something that people are going to do for as long as lifting is a thing because it's mysterious and appealing. And in the process, it's going to propel exactly 0 people to new heights that they would not have gotten otherwise. But I guess I can take my hater hat off for a minute and concede that training too hard for the love of training is better than not training hard enough. So my Grinch heart has a little bit of a soft spot for people that do just like going hard in the paint, even if I think it's misguided or for the wrong reasons. But that all got me thinking about some of the bucket list type challenges that many of us come across, things that I've done in the past. If you think of a system like Smolov, running through Smolov, it's almost a rite of passage. It's more so about the experience and pushing yourself than it is about what is technically optimal for lifting. And hey, if you do survive it, you might end up a lot stronger than when you started, and you'll definitely learn some things about yourself. So it's not completely without value. Now, 20 rep squats or high rep squat challenges in general have always had a special place in my heart because, one, they are extraordinarily productive. They are very easy to incorporate. Most people do not do them, and they are extraordinarily tough. So you get all of the right boxes checked. It's like the benefit of having those rites of passage, but in a setting or context where it actually makes you better for having gone through it. So I remember being influenced by Iron Mind, and they put out super squats. And I remember running that when I was 17, 18 years old. And the feeling of actually getting into the weeds and having that discussion you have with yourself. You can't have this on a 3 rep max or even an 8 rep max. Once you get to 15, 16, 17 with sufficiently heavy weight, there's this conversation you have in your head where your lungs are on fire, your hands are numb, you can't feel your feet, and every part of your body is telling you to rack the bar because you can't exist with this load crushing you. And you really learn at what threshold you actually have a choice. At what threshold did you stop because you couldn't do it or because you really, really just didn't want to? So let's start out with Dr. Ken. This was a video that was taken, it's only 2000. See, I still think of 2000 as being kind of modern. That's like when The Matrix came out. You look at episodes of Friends from 2000, it's still high definition in that kind of 16:9 framing. Or if you look at Frasier from like 8 years before that, it looks like it was filmed underwater. So this is still modern era to me. It looks like his camcorder is from the early 80s though. So this is Dr. Ken. Dr. Ken is a slight man. He is all of 160 pounds. I've heard one of his training partners claim that he was actually 155 at the time that some of his lifts went down. I think he's 53. That's the agreed upon age when this got released. And he's a slight man. He's not like a normal 160 pound, like elite Olympic weightlifter where you have a very slight frame, but then a lot of meat packed on it. So somebody who's like 5'4", but still kind of jacked. This is a guy that has kind of a Dale Gribble body. Now, the thing about Dr. Ken is he's very performative. He's very dramatic, and you're going to see in a minute. And that only serves to cast doubt on the legitimacy of the things he claims to have done, especially since he wasn't competing around this time. Apparently he competed early on.
In 1968, and it's still being used. All our plates are your plates. You will notice.
This is where he talks about how he paints his plates, which some people find a little suspect.
Jack should be lifting this. I don't want to wear myself out. Sound like a typical lifter, huh? And Jack will recall when he comes here that I painted him white, silver, gold. I always change the color. This time I actually did some fine work on here just because I like to do that kind of thing.
The cock and the walk, baby.
Now look at this. Look, when he gently puts the plates on, they make no noise. Maybe that's a little OCD. Maybe that's something else. Very gentle. Ooh, very gentle with those plates. Now he's going for it. 407 pounds. 53 years old, weighing $160. No belt. Doesn't even look like he has a really tight grip on the bar. Look at that springiness. And you hear some jangling. There's some metal in there. There's definitely some metal in there.
Notice the strange form being utilized.
Doesn't sound like there's 4 metal plates though.
The structural work. But strong nonetheless.
Hey! Yeah!
Pretty good for 160 pounds.
Let me pause that shit. So right there, he's already 10 reps in and he's trying to get to 20. And he exhales, he grunts on the way down. Meaning, instead of taking the breath instinctively, anybody that's done really balls out, high rep breathing squats, even super squats talks about this. You take a deep breath, you breathe like a freight train. You take a deep breath and you brace, you Valsalva. As you fatigue, that is the only way that you maintain integrity through your spine. And it's not just to keep yourself safe, it's to actually get through the set. Or else, as you fatigue, you lose position, which means you have to work harder, which means you fatigue faster. He's 10 reps in. He breathed out on the way down and tried breathing in as he was changing direction. As you watch this, you're going to see like the cadence is a little off.
Yeah! Okay. I'm good!
Turning into good morning.
Come on, here you go. One more thing, here we go. Come on! All right, get with it, motherfucker. Oh, shit.
Stay here.
Another one. This is when the weight's getting the hardest and he's exhaling on the way down. That's very strange. Shaking his head.
I'm good.
Now we get to one more, and I want you to watch how he bails on the bar.
Shit.
Didn't make a lot of noise for 407 falling on pins. That's pretty gentle. This is where the theatrics come in. Dr. Ken is just, he's nothing if he's not a showman. He's crawling around. He starts spitting, blowing snot rockets on the ground. It's like right there, he asked how many he did. What, 21? Anybody who survived through a balls out set of 20 like that knows that the only thing that keeps you going is the countdown. It's like when you're doing cardio and you're like, okay, I got 40 minutes left. That's just 4 10-minute sprints. That's 8 5-minute runs. Like, you start to break it down. But it is the complete fixation on that number and racking up each successive rep that gets you through the set. Because if you're not keeping count, you're going to stop well before you get to that number. So 100%, regardless of whether or not the feat was real, that's like that type of like acting, like, oh, what did I get? Was that good? I don't know. The degree to which he's out of breath, this amount of effort, and when it starts to get to like a 10 out of 10, like 5 reps out, and you're just trying to sustain that, it generally takes even really conditioned people 2 or 3 minutes to recover to where they can speak normally. But he's going to have just a fine time carrying on a conversation here.
Let's switch right to the...
If you've ever seen somebody in the CrossFit games or like a bodybuilder go all out on leg day, they don't have enough energy after a set to do all this silly shit. I don't know what he's doing right here. And here's the one arm pull. Yeah, 400 pounds just with his fingertips, just rolling it up. It moves just like that. So it's funny because Dr. Ken is like well liked and respected. He's said to be a really nice guy. Fortunately, he did pass away a couple of years ago, but he was said to have been a really nice guy. He was a contributor to bodybuilding magazines. He had written for Iron Mind. Iron Mind's kind of a weird animal because it's a journal. It's not just a magazine. And it always had this air of intellectualism around it because it would deal with like high-minded pursuits of strength training. So everything was very artistic and thoughtful. Randall Strawson, who ran it, I think he was a PhD, but he was a very well-written man. I liked his books a lot. Stronger Minds, Stronger Bodies was a really good read. I recommend you guys check that out. But he would have like Olympic lifting stuff that was very classical and rooted in like academic approaches right next to stuff like this. Or he'd have like Steve Eusta, who used to kick concrete walls because he thought it would make his tendons thicker. So there was always some stuff in there that was a little sus. And there was always the like counterculture people that globbed onto things like dinosaur training or really ridiculous stuff like really, really heavy overloaded partials as like a staple in training that were not known to really generate great results anywhere, which is why it's not widely done. Like lifting's been around for 100 years. At this point, if something works with a sufficient group of people, it gets adopted and people do that. So let's break down how likely it is that this is a real feat. It is feasible. It is feasible that somebody who's 160 pounds could do this. 400 for 23 like that, even at that pace, even if your endurance is really good, you could probably get away with that if your squat was in the low to mid 500s. There have certainly been people who weigh 160 pounds who have squatted that and who might have very good endurance as well. So it's not necessarily that it's impossible, but once you start to add every piece of circumstance to it, it becomes highly improbable. His age is the big one. His physique is another one. The pacing is another one. The off breathing, the fact that he looks very loose with his bar position. He's not efficient. It's not just that you would expect that from somebody in order to lift these weights, but you would expect that from somebody who has trained long enough to be able to lift these weights, that there are just some intuitive changes that allow you to move your body a little bit more efficiently. And then there's the acting. Just right off the bat, he's somebody who is very kind of flamboyant with his presentation. And I think it's duping delight. There's this phenomenon that profilers talk about when somebody's lying, where they will tell a bold-faced lie and then like smile afterwards. And there's this thought, and I think it's akin to people going back to the scene of the crime. There's this thought that it's people taking delight in the fact that they're duping you. They call it duping delight. So the fact that he is talking about the fact that he painted his plates, that he's talking about, oh, people say they're fake. Then the fact that he is like moving the bar with one arm. Like what possible reason would he have to do that? But right after his set, he has enough energy to grab 405 and with his fingertips roll it across the pins. It's just little stuff like that. It's very inauthentic. I think there's 100% chance he's phony and that he's acting. There's maybe like a 0.01% chance that he is actually really strong, very talented, in very good shape, and likes to go really hard, and that he really can just last with 75-80% of his squat max through a 3-minute long set. That's possible. Likely, I don't think so. Possible, I guess. But what got me is that there's so many people that don't even doubt, they don't even question, they don't see anything suspect. And it just goes to show that if you're nice, if you're well liked, you can get away with a lot of shit. Nobody will call you out. So, that's incentive for all of the sociopaths out there just to turn it up a notch, because anybody can pretend to be nice, and it's a really powerful tool if you're trying to pull one over on other people. Here's another one, 253. Let's see what 160-pound, 53-year-old Dr. Ken does. Sticks about forehead level. Weird that it took that long to lock it out. He must be really exhausted. He must just be super fatigued. Oh, he misses it. Oh, he misses it again? No, he grinds through. He missed a rep and then grounded through. So 253 pounds. He misses it and then grinds it out. It is foreseeable that a guy that weighs $160 can press that. But the guys that you see that do that are going to be very young. They're going to be built differently and in their prime. they're also going to move efficiently. And that's so weird is he has so many bad habits that it's like to move the way he does, he has to put out more strength than somebody else who has like good movement mechanics. But regardless of all of that, the like false pump where like he's locking out very slowly, very slowly, very slowly, and then he misses one, but oh wait, just sheer power of will, you overcome and you lock out that last rep because you're such a stud and your will determines your destiny. And it's so ridiculous because that is not how any of this works. Fatigue, and this is something that people who are new to training don't understand, or people that haven't handled these weights deep into the weeds and that threshold of fatigue will understand. And that is the way that which fatigue accumulates. For instance, squatting. You can keep doing reps because you're very stable with the weight on your back. You're strong. It's a mechanically advantaged position, so you can actually recover. You can't do that at the top of, say, a bench press or a deadlift, right? So the squat's unique in that you can get a couple of breaths and go again, and then it becomes more of a test of endurance. With upper body pressing movements, the small muscles fatigue really quick. It's not just your shoulders, your pecs, your triceps are a small muscle. And when they're gassed, they're gassed. And it takes 2 to 3 minutes to recover. That's why we take 2 to 3 minutes in between sets. So if you take it to complete exhaustion, and Dr. Ken is a big proponent of high intensity training, if you take it to complete exhaustion where you miss a rep, you don't squeeze out that other rep. It doesn't work that way. So I am really inclined to think that Dr. Ken's just putting on a show here. I can't confirm 100% that it's not real because I wasn't there. I didn't weigh the plates. And if you check against the records of what some of the best guys in those lighter weight classes can do, it's on par with this. It's not an impossible feat. But just given his age, given some of the suspect things, the fact that his plates are spray painted, the fact that he did roll 400 pounds across his pins with fingertips right after a balls out set of 23, there's just too much here. I think the verdict is in. I think Dr. Ken is a little phony. Now, the thing is, I don't vilify people like this quite the way that others do. I know the Athlean X scandal was really big. People hate fake plates. Fake plates have been around forever. Bodybuilders have utilized fake plates forever. You look at old pictures of like Johnny Jackson and Ronnie Coleman back in the day. They'd have bodybuilders with like 9 plates on each side of the bar, just casually holding it. They don't do that in photo shoots. It's an unnecessary risk. So they'll have Johnny Jackson standing with like 1,100 pounds on his shoulder, looking calm as Hindu cattle. Fake plates have been around for a long time. I think it's kind of a pathetic prank. I think it shows somebody with an ego and a willingness to put how they are perceived over how good they actually are. And that says a lot about the character. But at the same time, I'm not going to vilify this person and say he was completely full of shit or he was a fraud, a charlatan, whatever. It doesn't bother me that much. And who knows, maybe there's some skinny old dudes who saw that, got really inspired, and it was the reason they got up off the couch instead of turning into a vegetable. So my verdict is, Dr. Ken, you're full of shit, but we still love you. Now, if you want to see my squat workouts from start to finish, go ahead and check out my Patreon. I'm uploading all of my workouts into a tightly condensed video that has all of my sets, reps, what I'm paying attention to, how I'm progressing. That is on my Patreon exclusively. Also, anybody that is interested in templates or online coaching, go ahead and DM me or email me directly. All of that can be found on my website, EmpireBarbellStore.com. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Until next time, this is Bromley. I'll see you.